Hello and welcome to episode 45 of And No. This is the first of 4 Advent podcasts that will be leading us to Christmas. Typically, we focus on love, joy, peace, and hope during Advent, and those are great things to focus on. But this season, I wanted to draw our focus somewhere else. Today's focus is going to be on Caesar Augustus. Next week will be the significance of the manger. Third Advent is going to bring the importance of the shepherds, and fourth Advent will focus on the symbolism behind the 3 gifts the Magi bring. My hope is that each week shows a different layer to a story that perhaps we've become too familiar with. Knowing Bible stories is obviously super important and amazing, but sometimes we have a tendency to gloss over how incredible this story is. Now, I've learned over time that there is a remarkable marriage between the Old and New Testament. While I always knew that they were bound together in one book, I've discovered that I cannot fully understand the significance of Jesus and the start of the early church without learning the history and genealogy that exists in the Old Testament. I mean, the story of Jesus is foretold hundreds of years earlier by the prophet Micah. It was also prophesied by the prophet Isaiah. Why is this important? Jesus' birth wasn't accidentally captured. It wasn't just a random baby that a story was written around. There is so much evidence, non-biblical references about Jesus, and more incredibly, his death. And so when we begin our Advent adventure and digging into Caesar Augustus, the hope is that we just get to rediscover how amazing the birth of Jesus truly is. Alrighty, Caesar Augustus. Who is this guy? You might be familiar with his great uncle, Julius Caesar. When Julius Caesar was killed, Caesar Augustus had to battle Mark Antony and Cleopatra. He won and became the very first Roman Empire. He was able to switch Rome from a republic where people got to vote to a one-man show. He ruled well for the Romans. Under him, there was financial stability. He created an army and fixed up a decaying Rome. He was a man who got things done, and he didn't ignore his requests. So when Luke tells us in chapter 2 that Caesar Augustus gives an official order to have a census, people did it. Now, why was this decree important to Rome? It gave him access to understanding the wealth of his people, and that meant he knew how to tax them best. It also helped him strengthen his army because of documentation families had to provide. Romans were known to build empires, and this census helped Caesar Augustus achieve that. Now, you might be thinking, thanks for the history lesson. Where are you going with this? Fair question. So let's go back a bit further in time and listen to Jesus' birth being foretold by the prophet Micah. Micah 5, verse 2. But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are of old, from ancient times. Long before Caesar Augustus held power, long before he was born, the birthplace of where the Messiah would be was already written in the Hebrew Bible. 2 completely different worlds, and yet the history remains the same. Here's Luke 2 verses 1 to 5. The birth of Jesus. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria. And everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. There's a lot more that I could pull from these verses, but for today, I'm just going to focus on Bethlehem and Caesar Augustus. Caesar Augustus issues a decree, and unbeknownst to him, he fulfills a prophecy. He thinks he's using it for his own gain, but in actuality, he's proving the authority of the Bible. And what was told back then is now taking place. Indeed, this is the greatest story ever told. Caesar Augustus was known at that time for being a great ruler, the greatest ruler. And yet now he is a part of the story where we welcome the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Caesar Augustus's rule is nothing compared to the reign and glory of this king. The place of Jesus' birth is also no coincidence. Joseph and Mary's destination has an incredible meaning behind it. Bethlehem means house of bread. It's a combination of the Hebrew words bet, house, and lechem, bread. Jesus is called the bread of life in the New Testament. John 6, verse 35. Then Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never grow hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. And know this, there is no chance happenings that take place in the Bible. Not one. Caesar Augustus issuing his decree, Jesus' birthplace as being the house of bread, it should give us hope and confidence that our God is indeed an awesome God. Caesar was just a man. Bethlehem was just a place. But when God is at work, they instantly become a part of this most incredible story. This Christmas story is far more than what the world has made it. This is the start of our redemption story. This is the start of a message of hope and deliverance. And it may be a start for us, but for God, He has always provided for His people. Because He is far more powerful than an emperor, and nothing will stand in His way for the love He has for His people. And that includes me, and that includes you. When we welcome God to be a part of our story, the unimaginable becomes real, and the impossible becomes possible. Because that is how great our God is. I hope today's podcast was a blessing to you. Tune in next week as we prepare for Second Advent.